2 a day, maybe 3. I guess some type of production value involved in these uploads. Hey, I'm on my cell phone. I'm on a break at work, and I'm venting out my opinion on these series or shows that I'm watching. So I want to finish Breaking Bad this week or next week because I want to move on to another TV show. So this is my second upload in one day. This is episode 3 in season 5, Hazard Pay. I think they're getting a little lazy. Well, let me clarify. As far as the naming for the episodes go, they talked about Hazard Pay in the last episode, so they might as well make this episode Hazard Pay. It's still very good episode. It's still a very good episode. It has pretty much the same people as the last episode. Mr. White, Pinkman, Mike, which I know his name now, Mrs. White, and the sister-in-law, not the brother-in-law, not Hank. So I have to start with Mrs. White. I have to. She has continued to kind of shelter in place, if you will. I don't know. She's not fully grasping the situation, and I think I said it in my last upload. I feel like, because I've been there in emotionally difficult situations, if you're not strong at that particular moment, a person will have a tendency to just close their eyes and try to think the problem away. It's not real, but it's not the case. And I think as an actress, she's doing a great job of portraying that. Now, Mr. Weiss decided to move back in fully. Like, I'll talk about him in a second. I'll talk about that character in a second. But just to stay on track with Mrs. White, she winds up later in the episode, she's going through the motions, basically. She's, eating breakfast, getting up, putting on her suit, going to work, doing her thing. But, she's having lunch with her sister. And her sister, I've been waiting for somebody to tell her to shut up for forever. Till she kind of won me over, and I think the last season a little bit. But she finally gets what she deserves, I feel, because she's always yipping and yapping at the mouth and carrying on. She just loses it. She's like, it's too much. It's too much for her to bear. All this information that she knows, or these assumptions that she's rolling with, as far as her husband's involvement in the murders of people and drugs and everything, it's too much for her to handle. So she snaps on her sister, which her sister does deserve it because she was just yipping and yapping. But it's a window into the state of her mind. It's state of her not conscious. It's a window into the state of her mental health. I may be swayed a little bit because I did peek at the next episode and saw the title, and I'm assuming I'm going to make a broad assumption as to what may happen in the next episode. But I'm still curious and excited to see what's going to happen in the next episode. Now, I guess I have to go. I don't want to save that guy. I don't want to save Mike for last. I go to Mike right now. I'll talk about Mike right now. So he feels like it's odd. I brought up in the last upload that Mr. White seems like Mr. White is being overcome by this Heisenberg persona of his, and I'm like, I don't like it because I don't think he's capable of being that guy. The boss, the big scary boss. I don't think he's capable of doing that. So now, one of my fellow drivers just drove by. Not a guy I see most of my routes, so I had to wave at him. So most of what was that? Don't lose that thought. Oh, Mike feels like he's in control of the situation. The character Mike feels like he's in control of the situation. Mr. White feels like he's in control of the situation. But when I talk about him later, I want to bring up the fact that he's so smart but stupid at the same time. Um, but Mike is trying to. That's how the episode starts. The episode starts with him running around to all these different prisons or jails or holding facilities where a lot of his former employees are housed right now, and trying to make amends with them. He's actually pulling a Mr. White, but he's not thinking so cold and calculated. He wants to help the people that helped him for all those years, and that Mr. White has caused all this mess by killing Gustavo. Excuse me. It's becoming more and more cloudy. Um, or I should phrase it like this: the dust is starting to swirl up again. The dust had settled within the last 2 episodes. The dust was starting to settle, and things were starting to appear. But now dust is starting to pick back up again. The smoke or the fire started once again. So because they're cooking again, I'll get to that in a minute. But I feel like Mike seems like his character seems like I'm in control of this situation. I'm doing it on my terms. He's working with Mr. White and Pinkman, and it's going to be done by me or my way to the highway, and that type of attitude I seem like. But he's also trying to help the people that he's worked with. Now, I spoke on Mrs. White and the sister-in-law. Was that her sister? I've spoken on those two. Yeah, that has to be her sister. I spoke on her and her sister in the blow up in there, and I was speaking on Mike, and now I have to speak about Mr. White. Mr. White, I've just figured it out in the last couple of episodes. He's definitely playing chess with everybody, with all the other characters. But I don't know what his game plan is. He basically convinces Pinkman to break up with his girlfriend. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, you can't have that character break up with her. She's making him whole and complete and giving him a human touch. If you get what I'm saying, like, and the little son. When those three are together, Pinkman's a better person. He's lighter on his feet. he just makes I feel like the character makes better decisions when that character, when those two characters are taken into consideration. Now, I don't know what his play is for getting rid. Maybe I'm assuming he wants to get rid of her to try and sew up some loose ends so there'll be less people involved in it, because he feels in some way that Pinkman might be weak as he was, and that Pinkman might spill the beans to her one day about everything. He has it up until this point. I mean, what would make him do it? What would make him do it out of the blue? I don't see Pinkman doing that. He's like, I feel like he has successfully separated what he's doing with Mr. White and that whole world and her. He's happy with her, but Mr. White convinces him to get rid of her. So they're broken up. I'm like, that's kind of sad. Now, what else? Oh, so Mr. White and Pinkman and Mike, they're divvying up this money, and I think it's done deliberately. They're starting off with a big pile, and they wind up with a smaller pile. And like I say, this is where Mr. White feels like, this is why I feel like the character Mr. White is so smart, but at the same time so stupid. He, not necessarily, in this instance, not so necessarily, I wouldn't consider him stupid in this instance. I just think he didn't cross every T and dot every I. There was things that he wasn't aware of, and it just ate away the money. But shit, still talking about over $100,000 a piece. And quality filmmaking. It's not even filmmaking. I apologize. I don't know why I'm apologizing. I don't know why I said that. Quality television has been made. The way that they came about finding another place in order to cook. It's genius. It's absolutely genius. I don't even want to give it away. I think that's something that should be watched in the series. I don't think if anybody comes to enjoy this, they should hear it from me. I don't know. Maybe I just want to keep some things in the episode. Maybe it's too intricate for me to explain. It's not, but whatever. What else happens in there? Oh, I guess I gotta give a little bit away. So it involves pest control, which I think is, and it also brings back in two of Pinkman's friends, which apparently they both have hidden talents. um, Now I'm a little bit excited to see the next episode. The only reason I say that is because it kind of, this is a point I have to make before I end this upload. I feel like this is a series that should be watched once in a week. You kind of like have to clean your palate after you watch it, because watching it back to back, it starts to lose some of its power. Although it's still quite good entertainment, it's loses a little bit of its spark if you watch it personally, if you watch it back to back. So you have to watch something in between, or live a life or something like that. Just get your palate clean in order to come back and watch another episode, which I'm not going to make any promises, but I may upload another Breaking Bad review or reaction tomorrow, but not 100% sure. So, until then.